care of the women. You don't need to worry about voting. The men will take care of you. And I think that was pretty much of a South sentiment. And then, of course, the Western ones, as Pat said, the Western women, they wanted to get women out to the West, so enticing them. And also, women in the West were hardworking women. They were out there with the men, and they probably felt they deserved to vote also. So there's the celebration after the 19th Amendment. And Pat has a closing challenge.
This article is also from 1995 from the World Herald, written by Nikki Scott, who wrote a column then called Working Women, and it's titled, "Grandma's Pride Was Worth 8-Mile Walk to Vote." And she says, in 1920, my mother walked 4 miles on a dusty road in the Adirondack Mountains to watch her mother vote for the first time. She seldom talked about the day without tears in her eyes. And her mother would say, "Your grandfather had the wagon. He had gone to cut wood for the winter. So your grandmother put on her best hat, packed some sandwiches, and told your aunt and me that we were going to town." When we objected, 8 miles round trip was a long walk for 2 little girls, she stopped at the gate to our farm, put her hands on her hips, and said, my mother died without the right to vote. I never thought I'd be able to. If I have to travel all day and all night, I'm going to vote today. Now get moving." We knew when she meant business, my mother would say, laughing, "We got moving." And I'll never forget how she looked when she came out of the post office in Watertown, New York, where people went to vote. Taller somehow.
Okay. That's it, folks.
And most of us, if you're close to our age, your grandmothers would have had the right to vote in 1920. My mother was born in 1912, so of course my grandmothers had grown children. But did I ever ask, did we ever talk about it? Did you? No.
No.
But would we like to know if they voted that first election when they had the opportunity? And this, she quotes a lot from there it is, Carrie Chapman Catt, because she did live in Nebraska for a long time. And here I kind of like this, where she's really encouraging people to vote, the journalist. Whether our candidate wins or loses is not so important. What is important is that we take 20 minutes to exercise the right our grandmothers won for us, and our daughters may thank us for preserving. Good words.
And I'm recalling in the play that we introduced you to, they're saying, I want my children to know I was here, I want my students, I want my grandchildren. They wanted everybody to know that they were in the fight, and they were in the fight right up to their eyebrows to get the women the right to vote. Okay?
So, there was a book that we read in book club, and I can't remember the name of it right now, about a woman that wouldn't give up. I can't remember the name of it, but that one was so good because it kind of went along these same lines, talking about how she had no rights to any property.
Oh, the woman that they put her in insane asylum.
Yes.
And so that was in the 18th.
The woman did not,
Well,
did
as
not
they-
keep silent.
As they said, the people who were not allowed to vote were insane, children, black people, and women, of course.
And this guy just declared her insane.
Yes. Yes, she
And that
wasn't
was
insane
common
at
at that
all.
time. If you didn't obey your husband, then, you know what, let's just get rid of her and
Yeah,
get rid
the
of
man
the
had
power.
some
And she
power.
found that there was many other women there, just like her, that were.
Who had been put in institutions because
He
they
became insane because they were locked up and dirty.
He was a minister, but she thought had very radical ideas, and she could not go along with them. And as we said, it wasn't just the vote. It was women's, children's working conditions, that they shouldn't be working, and many things. The women living in
property rights
Yeah, property rights.
and children's rights if you've got a divorce or your husband died.
But this woman continued until the end of her life.
Yeah.
Yes, she did.
Once she got out of
Can't remember the name of that one.
She wasn't even allowed to have an opinion.
Right.
Exactly.
No,
She
Not
was
only
put
did
in
you
the
not
insane
vote, you
asylum
couldn't
for
even-
having an opinion.
opinion.
Yes.
And then lost her children and had
Lost
to
her
give them
children.
back, right?
That was a good group.
I just, it's interesting about the western United States, I never thought about it, but once pioneers got west of the Mississippi, you were equals as far as
I
work.
think so. That map, I thought, kind of showed how interesting that was, that the Western people recognized that women were certainly contributing to this life.
But it's surprising, the map also had Pennsylvania. It was
Yes, there
not
were a
like
couple
us.
in the very northwest, or northeast,
Right.
that came in, that allowed women to vote before the 19th Amendment.
Now, that was probably maybe the influence of some of those
But I mean,
abolitionists.
Pennsylvania was not one of them, it had the red dot.
Oh,
Oh, well, there were a couple of blue dots in the north is what I was talking
Oh,
about,
yeah, but Pennsylvania looked to me like it had red dot and had not allowed them to vote until it was forced.
Until
upon them.
they had to.
Right.
yeah, and in the West, women were needed to run boarding homes because, you know, the men probably ate whatever you eat, whatever they could hunt, and slept wherever they could find a place to sleep. So the boarding houses got were very, very needed, much needed. And the
So all you
wives-
women, be sure to vote.
Yeah.
I'll have to say, I have never missed a vote, ever.
I missed one primary, and that was because my husband had to work and didn't get home on time.
Well, you could have walked.
I had three little kids, yeah.
With all
I
three,
would
you
take
could
them
have
for
walked.
I was pounded into my children to vote, I don't ask them to
Yeah, I'm pretty sure mine could.
they give me their opinion.
Yeah,
Hard to imagine life back then.
yes, it is.
We take so much for granted.
And as I said before, with just the communication of getting together and saying, we're going to have a parade. How do you tell all these people? How do you get them all there? How do you tell them what we're gonna wear?
Send a postcard.
Yeah, we took 3 weeks to get there.
Yeah, it'd be all hand delivered, but we're, you know, they're towns apart.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I thought it was interesting that they put, was it Susan B. Anthony in jail? I think it was. Put her in jail, and the judge said, she's guilty. You don't even have to go in there and think about it. But then she would not pay the $100.
Yeah, and one of them in that last jailing, she went on a fast and they force fed her.
Yes. They were not treated well many times. And they were actively petitioning and, they thought they were in the way.
Wouldn't it be interesting to bring some of those women back to see the email
Oh,
and
my
all
yes.
that stuff now?
Yeah.
Well, I just think about my grandmother. There were no airplanes when she was a young lady at all. Certainly no, there were telephones, but
But she flew on planes.
she flew on a plane when she was, 60 or 65 for the first time. But she would cars. She was born before people had cars. Yeah. And that's just 2 generations.
Yeah.
Things, times have changed.
I think she's learned a lot, that generation saw a lot more changes.
Yes. I would say our grandmother saw the most changes, probably. Television. There wasn't television when I was a child. Lots of things have happened. Well, thank you guys for thinking.
A lot of work put done.
We did a lot of research, but it was fun.
And you looked adorable.
Fred, I'm being home.
Yeah,
Very nice.
Yeah.